Person means we're talking about ourselves, so this will either be I or we, depends on the number of people talking about ourselves. Second person is when you're talking directly to someone, so that's when you would say you or you two or you all. And the third person is when you're talking to someone about someone else, so you would say he, she, him, her, they, those, them. Okay, so we've got there the gender, the number, and the person. Now we're going to look at the difference between something called adverbs and adjectives. So an adjective adds something to nouns or pronouns. For example, the beautiful girl. So this is the word beautiful here is an adjective. Effectively, normally they're describing the noun. So this is describing the word or the noun girl. And just read this. This is an adjective phrase. Now what we mean here, we're saying the beautiful girl. So effectively, beautiful girl, you could take it as one unit. They're very tightly coupled together. So that's normally known as an adjective phrase, because really you're talking about the beautiful girl as if beautiful and girl are one unit. The other way of reconstructing this, we could say the girl is beautiful. So what we're doing here, we're describing the girl, but the girl is a unit on its own. So this effectively is a sentence with a noun and then an adjective coming after it. Okay, so you need to make the distinction then between an adjective phrase and an adjective being used in a sentence. Then we have adverbs, and this is one of the more tricky parts of grammar. Add something to verbs, adjectives, or adverbs themselves. For example, he walked slowly. So here the adverb slowly is adding something to the verb walking. Number 2, she is a very lucky girl. The adverb very is adding something to the adjective lucky. So we're saying the lucky girl. So lucky is describing the noun, so lucky is an adjective. Then we're further clarifying that as the very lucky girl. So very is now adding more information to the adjective lucky, so very is an adverb. And then number 3, he walked very slowly. So the adverb very is adding something to the adverb slowly. So walked is a verb being described more by the word slowly, which is an adverb, and then we've got very adding more to the word slowly, so it's an adverb adding more to another adverb. Then we come on to something called the active and passive participles, and this is different from the active and passive voice which we looked at before. So the active participle is created from what we call a root verb, so from a doing word, can be used in different ways. This is a very complex area. So if we take the word to write, which is a verb, and we're going to create from that verb the word writer. So he is a writer. Now the writer effectively is a noun indicating the doer of an action, but it's created from the base or the root verb to write. So when you take a verb, change it into effectively the noun of the person who can do that verb, it's known as an active participle. The second case is he is writing. So it's when you take the verb and you present it as what's called the present continuous verb. We'll cover that term later on under verbs. From the verb to write. So you take the verb to write and you change it into the verb writing, so you're adding the ing. That form of the verb with the ing is also sometimes known as the active participle. And the third, here we have God is all seeing. So this is an adjective from the verb to see. So in Arabic this can also be classed as an active participle. So you take the verb like see, change it into the word seeing. So here, although seeing is an action, we're actually using it to describe God. We're saying God is all seeing, so it's actually acting as an adjective describing the noun God. So there are 3 different cases. Generally in Arabic, when you're talking about this thing called active participle, it can act as the doer of a noun, doer of a verb, the present continuous verb, i.e. with the ing, and an adjective. Again, it will normally be an adjective describing a noun. Now the passive participle, again created from a root verb, describes the property or state of an object. So here the apple was eaten. So eaten is telling you about the state of an object after the noun, after the verb has been performed on the object. Yeah, so the apple is in the state of eaten. So here eaten, from the root word to eat, is known as the passive participle. Then we have what's called a verbal noun. So a verbal noun is a noun created from the root verb. Example, the boy's recitation. So recitation is a thing, even though it's effectively abstract, it's a noun. But the noun is created from the verb to recite. So if you take a verb and then create a noun out of it, it's known as a verbal noun. Okay, so in conclusion, we have a basic understanding of English grammar, okay, which will help us to learn Arabic grammar. We have covered many terms, so again, don't worry, all of these terms we'll cover again when we need them in the relevant section. However, all of those terms that you've just gone through is almost every bit of grammar that you need for an elementary level of Arabic grammar. So my recommendation to you is to go through this lesson every now and then, just to keep bringing into your mind all these basic principles of English grammar, so that when we come onto the Arabic grammar subjects which deal with these concepts, it will be very easy for you to pick up.